am Orlando Jones, and I just want you to know that the Moana Nui Podcast will be starting soon. Stay tuned, yo.
I'm Veronica Taylor, and from myself and Ash Ketchum, I just want to say, Moana Nui, I choose you!
Good evening and welcome everyone to Moana Nui Presents Geek Speak On Sports. I am James, your moderator and host for the evening, joined by a wonderful panel. Introduce yourselves. We'll start with Joy.
I am Joy, also known as Marshawn's side piece. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Qiana, how are you doing?
Oh my God. I'm Qiana. I'm here. That's it.
And Furious.
I'm furious, and as the name suggests, I'm prone to be angry about stuff.
Oh gosh, I feel like we need to get your anger out the way early.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, just.
But James, when am I ever not angry?
When you're eating.
Oh my.
That part, yes. When you're eating, probably when you're rubbing on some booty.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm about to say you only have 3 F's, and there's food, fighting, and something else.
Right.
So yeah.
So yeah, but since you are in a mood, I was going to start with Joy this evening because hers was a happy-go-lucky story. But we're gonna get you out the way first, sir. Especially since we may be expecting one more member this evening. But we're just gonna go ahead. Get your soapbox.
What's wrong, Furious?
Get your megaphone out.
Come on.
Go ahead and
everybody
rip, sir.
knows, I am an Atlanta fan.
Yep.
Not just the Hawks, but all the Atlanta sports teams are my teams. I ride with my teams, win, lose, good, bad, or ugly. I ride with my Atlanta teams.
I saw you at a Redan high school football team game one time. So yeah.
But recently, the Phoenix Suns cut ties with Chris motherfucking Paul.
Oh, it's official. Damn.
Yeah, it's official.
It's official.
It is official.
Wow.
The
Right?
reason this shit pisses me off is in 2005.
Oh, I remember this.
The Hawks had, if I'm not mistaken, the number 2 pick in the draft. You know who came out of college in 2005? There was this little point guard.
The name is right here.
From Wake Forest. His name was Chris
Your
Paul.
initial CP. Yeah.
You sure it wasn't Tim Duncan? He went to Wake Forest.
Then there was this other idiot named not Chris Paul who came out of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Oh my.
You mean
That's
Paul Millsap?
Huh?
You mean Paul Millsap?
No, I don't. Everyone else knows him as Marvin Williams.
Oh, that dude.
To me, he's not Chris Paul. He's also a waste of an NBA contract. This
More than Ben
motherfucker
Simmons?
didn't do shit for my team. I'm just like, Chris Paul, Marvin Williams. Y'all motherfuckers want to draft Marvin Williams. Why?
Who was the point guard at the time when y'all drafted Chris Paul? When y'all didn't draft Chris Paul?
It was
Excuse me.
Tyronn motherfucking Luke.
Okay.
You mean Allen Iverson stepped over Tyronn?
Yes,
and Luke?
that motherfucker. The other thing is the other person we drafted that draft to who became another one of our guards was Salim Stoudemire.
Any relation to Damon Stoudemire?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
No, Salim Stoudemire was good. I got no beef with him. He was good.
Okay.
But he was no Chris Paul. Now, you can make the argument throughout the course of the NBA as to whether or not Chris Paul has always remained a top NBA point guard or not. Depending on what year, depending on injuries and whatnot, I'll easily concede he hasn't always been the best.
Mm-hmm.
But the other players who were on our roster that year were such wonderful, wonderful fucking people as Josh Childress.
Oh God.
Josh.
For the record, that is the 11th F-bomb.
You keep it track.
Al motherfucking Harrington.
Oh wow, Al Harrington. I forgot about that dude.
Yes, James, Al Harrington. We'd already had Joe Johnson. We had Dante Smith. Who else? Those are the only names that really stick out.
Okay, so those are the best players.
To this pitiful roster, not Chris Paul.
Question.
Yeah.
If you had Chris Paul, could he have carried that pitiful roster?
He would have done a hell of a lot more for the team than Marvin Williams did. Now, Marvin Williams was Marvin Williams a power forward?
Don't nobody know.
Swing forward.
He was a forward.
He was a forward.
Okay.
There are very few forwards throughout the history of the NBA that are the leaders of your team.
I mean, he wasn't no Dominique Wilkins.
Marvin Williams is not one of those motherfuckers.
Well.
So, yes, I think Chris Paul, again, he was the number. He got drafted, but he got drafted 4th because, like I said, the Hawks had the number 2 pick. He would have been enough of a difference maker that the team would have been better. Would the team have been instant NBA Finals ready? No, of course not.
Mm-mm.
However, with the rest of the pieces, we would have been a much better playoff team.
Okay.
Again, not finals.
But somebody to contend with and potentially mess up other people's playoff opportunities.
Exactly.
So I have a question.
Uh-huh.
What was the bullshit narrative that was put out there as to why that they did not go after CP?
Because at the time, the leadership felt like he was the best player available.
Who?
Marvin?
They felt like Marvin Williams was the best player available. Yeah,
Marvin?
exactly. Those faces that y'all are making? Exactly.
Marvin?
Yeah. Yes. All of those.
Drake? Like what? Why?
The only thing Marvin Williams has done that I call amazing is who that man married.
I was about to say, who did he get pregnant?
James, who is Marvin Williams' wife?
I don't know.
Candace Parker.
What?
I don't know if they're still married now. Actually, hold on, let me see.
Wait.
Blown.
WNBA megastar Candace Parker.
Candace.
You know what this is? You know what this is? This is real life love and basketball.
Candace Parker, who lit shit up at University of Tennessee.
I'm sorry. She was married to Sheldon Williams, who was another bum that played for the Hawks.
Nah, you messed up your whole story, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. I'm gonna give him a pass on this because both Williams were such bums that he confused who was married to Candace Parker.
Which multiverse is this?
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I messed that up. She got Sheldon Williams. Man, I'm like, really? Sheldon Williams is okay. Whatever. However, the NBA again, the Phoenix Suns cut ties with Chris Paul, and I'm just like, I'm not saying he was gonna turn the Hawks franchise into some superstar dynasty or legacy, but it was a much better fucking option than Marvin Williams.
But why are you mad at Phoenix though?
Oh, I'm not mad at Phoenix.
No.
I
brought that up because Chris Paul got let.
I'm just it's one of those things. It's kind of like I was always against the trade that brought Michael Vick to Atlanta. So every time I hear something about Drew Brees and LaDainian Tomlinson, because those were the picks we gave up to get Michael Vick, it pisses me off.
Shit.
Then I think about
still losing. I mean, y'all be making bad decisions.
I see why you made. God damn.
And then there was one quarterback that we had that he turns out to be a shitty individual, but he was an amazing quarterback. We drafted Brett Favre.
Welfare king.
We drafted Brett Favre.
And
Again,
they ain't let him do nothing except for throw balls into the stands.
Again, we have since discovered he's a shitty person, but he was an amazing quarterback.
Yeah, I won't take that over. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my.
That's the Falcons.
I'm gonna give you that that the boss's face when the office like.
So my anger isn't at all towards Phoenix. My anger is just, oh god damn it! All these players that leave Atlanta teams and go somewhere else and become amazing in their field.
I mean, that's not exclusive to Atlanta though. Like every team has let go of somebody that went somewhere else and got great.
Some people just have more of a pattern of behavior than others.
Right.
That's the problem. That's
the Atlanta sports problem, Qiana. That happens more so with Atlanta teams not named the Braves than in most other squads. Other squads, that happens every once in a generation or something like that, or doing particular errors. Like you let go of this dude and look what he did. But
Atlanta teams, it happens at least every 2 to 3 years.
It's a pattern with Atlanta squads.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. It happens so much that there's the people believe that Atlanta sports teams are cursed.
I mean, there was that period I remember in like, what was it, the mid 90s, where like you have visiting players come here to play the Falcons and say, yeah, my contract up. I ain't never coming to this city.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. The Falcons never had back-to-back winning seasons until we drafted Matt Ryan.
Really?
I did not realize that.
Yeah, they never not even under Michael Vick did they have back-to-back winning seasons. They did accomplish not having alternating winning losing seasons under Michael Vick, because I think they had one winning season and then a 500 season back-to-back.
Yep. But never back-to-back
winning seasons.
Yeah. So Joy, my anger isn't at all towards Phoenix. I get why Phoenix has done it, because Chris Paul is just at that point where he may not be the man anymore.
No,
like any athlete, as you get older, you lose a step. These younger guys are bigger, faster, stronger. So he just may not be the man anymore. But it's just when I saw that headline, it brought up the anger of, we could have drafted you, but we drafted motherfucking Marvin Williams.
I mean, you know what? In some universe, y'all did draft Chris Paul. And your alternate version is sitting there right now talking about Phoenix let go of Marvin motherfucking Williams. We could have had Marvin Williams
on the next episode of What If.
Right.
I love y'all.
Well, Ferris, I'll say two things about that. One, Chris Paul hasn't been the man the last 4 or 5 years of his NBA career, right?
Fair.
But if the city is cursed, y'all would have ruined him if he came here, and Marvin Williams would be great.
Well, I don't know if they would have cursed him. Chris Paul was one of those generational point guard talents to where he was actually
he wasn't here.
That'd have been all fucked up once he stepped foot on the Jordan big line.
He walked out to save everybody and broke an ankle.
He still developed into arguably one of the best point guards of all time, to where he got the nickname the Point God.
Yeah,
not guard, the Point God. That's his nickname, right?
Who did that for him? Phoenix?
No, not Phoenix. Surprisingly, no, it wasn't Phoenix. It was the New Orleans Hornets at the time who drafted him.
It was the not Atlanta,
right? and he basically went from the Hornets to the Clippers, then to the Rockets, and now the Suns.
I forgot he played with the Rockets.
Yeah,
I did it too.
He played
when he was with the Rockets.
James Harden.
Sound familiar?
The commissioner stopped a trade that would have sent him. Wait, it wasn't Houston.
That was a trade that sent him to the Clippers from the Hornets.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Hornets didn't have ownership at the time.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
why do you have all this just random information at the ready? Are you Googling this right now? Or you just
no, because the Chris Paul trade that sent him to the Clippers was a big deal, and it was like very noteworthy. And Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, came out because the original trade was going to send Chris Paul to the Lakers when Kobe was still there playing.
My point is, I don't remember the name of the CEO of the company I used to work for. And you sitting out here spitting out names of owners from 10 years ago.
Don't hate on that man because
of
knowledge.
So, Joy,
this is a sports podcast.
One thing I will always give James.
I should get on this podcast.
No. One thing, Joy, I'll always give James credit for, and I've talked to other friends of ours about James because of this. When it comes to sports trivia, if James says it, there's a 9 out of 10 chance he's right. When it comes to sports trivia, he's rarely wrong. I won't take that away from him. And James knows I don't give him credit for a whole lot of stuff, but I will not take that away from him.
It's part of his idiot savant charm. Like,
wow.
Damn.
Emotional damage.
I can say this about him because he's my ex-boyfriend and we still friends, so I can talk shit about him. I don't let nobody else do it.
Still
I'm gonna pick my face up.
James, you gotta let her in. Hover over her face at the bottom and hit add to stream.
I am.
There you go.
Candaysee, you're here.
I've been in here for about a good 10 minutes, but you know, it's cool.
I've been listening for a minute.
He's a newbie on the boards. He don't know what he's doing. But can I just say, you were summer family reunion church. Well, I was gonna say church till I saw us go. Summer family reunion real.
I thought she was at the cookout. I'm like, girl,
yeah, you did. You making plays. You brought the greens, didn't you?
I see Joy. She's in the parking lot after service, smoking that cigar.
Right, her and Deacon Farmer and half the choir.
Man, listen, I am. I said that I was going to make it, and I was at an event, and I said, y'all, I got to go to my car. I got to do this.
That's dedication.
Well, Candaysee, now that you're here, a certain player, your Buffalo Bills, made news. Care to share?
Yes, wait. Are we talking about the Madden cover for Josh Allen?
Yes.
I'm super excited.
Nice.
Is there a curse? Because you know I'm not a gamer. Is this one that was the curse?
Kind of.
Or is it? I thought it was NBA. I thought it was NBA that was the curse.
It's
NFL?
the Madden cover.
It's Madden.
It's the Madden cover.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We're not gonna make the Super Bowl. We're not gonna make the Super Bowl again. Damn. We're gonna lose to Kansas City again. So it's gonna be bad.
Should have picked the opponent. Don't take the L. Come on now.
It shouldn't.
We gonna win.
The last couple of years have not been as bad. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has been the cover boy twice. Once he shared it with Tom Brady. So, I mean, and he's been in the AFC Championship every single year. He's been a starter. So,
stupid ass Tom Brady.
So, I mean, it hasn't affected Patrick Mahomes. But I remember when Donovan McNabb made the cover, I cried.
I remember when Michael Vick made the cover.
I do too. He broke his leg in the second preseason game.
Yeah.
The curse is real.
See, Joy? You see how he knew that?
Yeah.
He broke his leg that same year.
I was watching that game because I was looking
at clean break or a stress fracture.
Squad.
What hospital did he go to?
I don't know.
I know, right? I think he went to Grady.
Everybody did. He's alive now, which means he probably did go to Grady. He's about to die. That's what
right.
I don't even live in Atlanta. I know what that means.
Grady is the #1 trauma center in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you just need your pills refilled, don't go there.
No.
But if you got a bullet in your eye,
that's the bullet.
That's
what it's supposed to be.
The bullet in.
But why a bullet in the eye though?
The bullets. Why you? I don't know. I'm from. I don't know. Honestly, I ended up thinking about Bushwick Bill.
Oh my
God! And so, I'm sorry.
I'm so done. She said bullet in the eye and Bushwick Bill. I'm gonna mute now.
She just came back, Joy. See what you did?
I'm sorry.
See what you did? But serious, I think you should be on the 30 for 30 called The Curse of Atlanta.
I'm surprised that it's
per
a 30 for 30
ATL.
for
That
Madden
might
cover
be
athletes.
something, and I just don't know because there's a lot of 30 for 30s.
There are.
Man, listen. I just watched the Bill Walton one the other day. It was very, very enlightening. I didn't know he was a hippie.
He was a what?
A hippie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not was.
Man.
He still is a hippie.
Yeah.
Well,
He does commentary for college basketball games on ESPN, and he's always wearing a tie-dye shirt. Always. I have never seen him in a tie-dye shirt. And this is for college basketball. It's like everyone else comes up, suit, tie, do their commentary. Nah, not him. Grateful Dead t-shirt, tie-dye.
God damn.
Yeah. That's him.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was about to say. It's like, I'm going to be myself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they let him do it.
The authenticity, do you?
Right?
But it's a really good 30 for 30. Like, I learned a whole lot. So I was in there. So watch it. It was really good. It was really good. And I didn't know that he had. So is it wrong that I only knew that he had one son, but he has three?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Not going to condemn
it.
I was like, I only knew that he had Luke. I didn't know that there was like others.
You stopped paying attention. You didn't know about the other two.
Two of his sons.
I didn't know.
She said
and one of them was a football player, right? Or was that his brother? That was his brother. Never mind.
His brother was a football player.
That was his brother. Never mind. But still, he has two whole other sons that no one knows about.
I just love how he said the others.
Everybody else.
Them kids.
Yes, I knew he had three sons. Luke and one of his brothers did play in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know that you know, James.
I mean, Luke is now an assistant. Well, no. Yeah, Luke is an assistant coach for somebody now.
We know that you know about the other two sons. We didn't know about them.
I can't remember the names.
Peter, Mark,
Matthew,
Bobby,
John,
Ricky, and Mike,
David.
Y'all need to stop throwing out all the Bible names because he got Luke.
he got a
little niece named Corinthia.
Oh my
I can't. Don't do that. Don't do that.
gosh.
He knows my heart. I've been playing like this. Yeah, so I'm good.
Oh,
I want to hear about. Oh, sorry, I'm not the host. I'm not the host. I was about to say something. I'm not the host. Go ahead, James.
Go ahead. What do you want to hear about?
Oh, I was going to say I wanted to hear about the WNBA experience. I missed it.
Oh,
You ever
okay.
heard
I'm
of
glad that you're here because the only thing you missed was Furious ranting. But
oh, I know. I came in and I said, "Why is he always so? He's always angry. He's always angry."
I can answer that with 2 words: Atlanta
sports.
Atlanta sports. That's why he's angry.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here since '95. I understand it. I could not be a fan of any of these teams.
I'm ride or die, though. I'm ride or die.
Yeah, you are.
I like you
medication for stress and heart problems is got to be at an all-time high.
Right?
But Joy, go ahead. The WNBA game you went to.
I went to the WNBA game. So it was their opening game for the season. And I got tickets from a friend of mine who does a little bit of work with them and stuff. So we're down like close to the floor. And I'm like, wow, we cool. So we go into the Gateway Arena here in Atlanta. It was a home game, of course, because I wasn't traveling for that. But they were playing Indiana. And I don't do a lot of sports venues, like actually show up. And I don't know what I was expecting, maybe something similar to like the Summit in Houston. We go in and I knew that it was sold out because my friend was like, make sure you get here early to park because it's sold out. Now I'm all like, ooh. We roll up and I'm like, oh, it's still some parking spaces. That's cool. We go in, sold out is 3,200 people.
What?
Yes.
Yes. The arena that they play in holds 3,200 and some odd change people.
Okay.
And so it's a very small arena. Like I felt like I was at a high school game, you know, which for me, I'm analyzing piece by piece. So for me, the fact that it was sold out and that the arena was small, I understand you want to make the stands look full if you're going to televise the game. But at the same time, how much revenue did you lose or clip off from yourself because you shrunk the arena that they're playing in, or you capped it at a certain size? Could they have sold 4,000 tickets? Could they have sold 6,000 tickets if they weren't sold out? You know, and now when we talk about revenue of a WNBA players versus NBA players, you cutting off their revenue because you're not selling out a larger venue. Like, put them in a bigger place and let them fill it. Mm-hmm. So I was a little miffed with all of that. Like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're not as profitable because they don't bring in the numbers, and they don't bring in the numbers because you don't put them in the right venue. You don't put them in the right venue because they're not as profitable. All of that says discrimination to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
Amen to that.
I'm not done. I'm not done. So we get in there. The game was probably the most interesting, intense basketball game I had seen in a minute. It was no, like, you're not just watching people fill up their highlight reel with breakaways and, you know, three-pointers from half court and dunks and all that kind of stuff. These women are playing a strategy, technical game. I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm sitting here trying to think what the coaches think. Okay, if she runs down and they call a timeout, and if she can get a foul on the way back down here, and then that's one more point, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm watching in real time, like, all these things happen on both sides. I'm trying to figure out what Indiana's about to do and what Atlanta's about to do. And the Dream of Fire. Like, they are really nice ladies. I was seeing them, like, really be good to their fans and everything. So, but it came down to the last minute. And I don't think I've watched, which is why I say I need to get off the show. I don't think I have watched a sports team finish a game in the 2000s. I'd be like, third quarter, it's over. I ain't paying attention. I'm sitting here like, because it got tense, and it wasn't going to be, you know, Kobe wasn't coming to save the day. They wasn't going to just throw it to LeBron. You know, everybody on this team, at least 5 people were pushing double figures. You know, there's a lot of, it was even. Everybody was a star, and the whole starting lineup was doing their part. It wasn't nobody dragging, and it was on both teams. They both neck and neck. It came down to a missed free throw and a 3-pointer that airballed. Those two things happened differently, and Atlanta would have won that game. It was that close, and it was a little heartbreaking because it's an Atlanta team. But at the same time, it was interesting to watch, and I really wish more people would pay attention to the actual, like, full-on sportsmanship of the WNBA. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I'm done.
So to your first point about the venue, when the WNBA first started 25-ish years ago, the teams did play in the stadiums of their male counterparts. So Atlanta wasn't one of the original, 8 teams that started the league, but Houston, Phoenix, I think LA, all of them, they played where the Rockets, Suns, Lakers played, right? And they kept doing that up until about, I want to say somewhere around somewhere between 08 and 10, they stopped because they weren't filling up the venues. You know, like you said, if you had a bigger venue, you can get more people in, but I don't know if they still understand what they can fill up.
Yeah.
Like, where we went was 3,500 people. That's the Dream's, I think, second or third facility they've used as a home arena. Because they used to play at Georgia Tech.
To put it into perspective real quick, James, Phillips Arena seats 16,800 people.
Right.
Just in comparison to their arena where they currently play.
And what does Georgia Tech's basketball stadium have? Because I think that's where the Dream started playing games. And even though they started playing there at Georgia Tech, the whole facility wasn't opened up to them. Like, they still capped the number of seats to try to keep everybody in together.
You couldn't get into the balcony, I think.
Right. So,
but that being said, if they were able to move into a venue that would house, let's call it 5,000.
Right.
That is, and they can sell it out. That is a 40% jump in revenue.
Yeah.
True.
Georgia Tech's is 8,600.
And that's a part that confused me, because I don't remember when they moved up there to where we went to for the Dream game, but I felt like Georgia Tech was perfect because there's no reason to put them in the Hawks Stadium. They're not going to fill up Hawks Arena, right? It just wasn't going to happen.
Parking might have been an issue.
Yeah, but I felt like Georgia Tech was perfect because on a regular basis, I will say sellout for what they allowed ticket-wise was probably about 75% capacity of where Georgia Tech plays.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was consistent for the Dream. Even when they won their championship that they played, I think they were still playing at Georgia Tech's campus when they won their title.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically like were at capacity for whatever they were allowed to seat there. Because I know they weren't given full run of the facility as far as like they have all the seats available.
You know, I'm gonna say something real ugly. Hang on, Furious, because it's coming at you. So the Dream have a championship. The Braves have a championship. The United have a championship. No, not the United.
Don't do it.
United.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Joy. Don't do it.
So the curse really affects who?
Uh-oh. Pew, pew, pew.
I said don't do it, Joy. I said it. I said it.
She didn't do it, but she did it.
I'm choosing violence.
Don't do
I'm not
it.
drinking no shit from somebody who ain't finished the game in 20 years.
Well,
I know. I'm over here talking cash money. I got no ground to stand on. I can't even tell you who plays for the Houston Texans. I don't even know who owns them, and I'm from Houston. The last time I watched a whole football game, I think Troy Aikman was throwing. So
I cannot. When we were in Costa Rica, I'm like, Joy, the Astros are in the World Series.
And I was like,
girl,
oh,
what? They playing games? I said, girl, they own the TV in the Costa Rica's.
I'm in the pool. Drunk as hell.
Oh my God.
You heard nothing.
I can't with this woman.
I lived in downtown Houston. The last time, the next to last time in 2016, 15, somewhere in there, when the Astros won. It was 2018, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was in downtown Houston, looking around like, what is with this traffic? I'm paying attention to shit.
Like it's the Armageddon.
So
I'm Game of Thrones you. You know I'm doing Game of Thrones right now. I'm like, shame! Ding, 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 ding. Shame! See, where's my bell? Shame! That's a shame.
I'm just here for comic relief on this show.
I was like, why are you here? You don't even know. Joy!
Why she here?
Joy is here to bring us all joy and comics.
I know. I'm so sad. I was like, are you serious?
Anybody come to see you, Otis?
Hey, stop. Leave her alone.
You guys. But I think that, I'm so sorry. So going back to the WNBA, I think that now possibly that, I guess, was it the merge or whatever, that now the NBA and the WNBA are kind of together and all that good stuff. I feel like it may help with bringing people back into the I was going to say stadiums, but I guess, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think that because I've been a Liberty fan since the inception of WNBA, and I remember going to, the Knicks stadium and just it being like everybody there because it's like great, but that was like 20 something years ago. And then it kind of went down. And I think now that the WNBA is getting a lot more publicity and all that stuff, we have, all these great stars, women's college basketball got people jumping. I think now they're going to go from, okay, I'm watching my favorite college, women's college basketball player, and now she's about to go to the WNBA. So now I'll go, go see her. And then if it's a team that is actually good and your male team isn't that great, then at least you have, some type of basketball to go see that you can kind of be excited about. So,
like the Dream.
Hence Atlanta. Hence Atlanta. Or like hey, hence the Liberty. I love the Knicks, but I mean, the Liberty's been doing a lot better than what we.
Damn, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think the marketing is
Washington Mystics have been doing a lot better than the Washington Wizards. So
it's the year of the woman.
Yeah. I mean, it is. They, people have been sleeping on women's sports for a long time. So, it's one of those things.
But like you said, the support is also there. It's not just there, it's visibly there now.
Right.
The marketing is different. I think they're going to sit back and see, okay, yeah, 3,700, that sold out. But there was a preseason WNBA game in Canada, which unfortunately is burning. But in Canada, and that sold out. And they play where the Raptors play, so I don't know how many people can hold.
Yeah, that's a big.
But that sold out, So I think it's just gonna take a little bit of time, but not as much time as it had been in the past to get things going.
Right, and that's what I'm hoping is that the women's teams, the ones that no longer play in the NBA arenas, hopefully they can at least find something bigger than where they are playing, if not get back to the NBA arenas, because there's no reason not to share the arenas if they're drawing those crowds.
Right.
I get the downsizing, but like everyone on this panel has said, the notoriety is coming back to the league over the last couple of years. And, hell, people are still talking about the women's Final Four, which was roughly 2 months ago. So, and the two star players from the championship game didn't come out in the draft. They're going back to college. I mean, they're going back for another year. They're going to be playing again next season. Next year they may come out, but I mean, the popularity around women's basketball primarily is definitely growing again. So.
One of them makes more money on her
NIL deal.
What is it? NIL deal than your average NBA player.
Meanwhile, they out there eating spam sandwiches and sleeping on the floor.
Egg in a bag.
Well, that's what one. I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was not South Carolina. USC. One of the players for USC was thinking about coming out in the draft, and her coach convinced her, was like, "Do you want to go to the WNBA and make barely six figures, or do you want to keep your NIL deal for another year on college campus?" And she returned because she was draft eligible. She decided to go back to college and basically make another 7 figures with her NIL deal.
Yeah.
Because again, as I stated, the highest paid players in the WNBA making what, $150,000, I think it was.
Yeah.
Right.
That's terrible.
And in a lot of regards, play better basketball than a lot of the men.
Yes.
It may not be
privilege.
It may not be flashy. You may not get like the breakaway dunks, but watching WNBA games, those women can ball.
They can ball.
They can ball.
And tactically and strategically, I think they can outball half the NBA. I said it.
I truly
now,
believe
we're not talking about physical, like racing down the court. I'm talking about I think if you put them on some sticks, put them on like NBA 2K or whatever, I think they could take the dudes. Just because they think better.
Strategy.
And they're doing team strategy as opposed to get a ball to Kobe type stuff,
Right.
Because the NBA has become pretty much the final 2 minutes, give it to the star player, clear out.
Yep. Which is why I'll never watch the end of the game.
I see what you did there.
See, I put that on.
I mean, the NBA finals are currently going on right now.
I knew that.
Did you? Oh.
Did you though? Did you really?
She said I knew that.
Time out. Boy, if you knew that, who's playing? Who's playing?
I don't know.
She don't know.
I know that game 1 was on the 1st and game 2 was on the 5th. I know that.
Mm-hmm. When is game?
Well, it was on the 4th actually, but okay.
When is game 3? When's game 3, Joy?
Soon.
Okay, game 3 was last night.
Yesterday. It was yesterday, Joy. Don't let him do you like that, Joy. You're not gonna do Joy like that. We're not gonna do her like that.
Yes,
no, we're not.
Yes,
no,
I will.
We will not.
Yes,
nope.
You still mad about that Savant comment, aren't you? Yeah, it's okay. I'll take that.
Leave alone.
I'll take that.
Absolutely not.
I'm fine with it.
Absolutely not.
Because I know I'm.
It's all right, Joy.
It's not imposter syndrome if you're really wrong. Like,
Qiana, what do you have for us this week, Qiana?
Wait a minute, girl. Now, come on, Ariel.
I'm just saying, I am not a part of this world. So, fun fact, watching the show, when we were trying to figure out who was going to be which thing, I was like, I'll do it. And I didn't realize that I didn't click the Marvel DC. I had clicked sports. And then I was too proud to be like, I don't know nothing about sports. So I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll be there all the time. And here I am. Now, I'm also now on the Marvel DC discussion panel where I'm doing a whole lot more. But I do have enough. And I'm talking like a 71 score, just almost an F. I do have just barely enough to stay here and contribute. Aside from
want you to stay.
My WNBA story. I try.
I think you have enough, and especially since you Marshawn's side piece.
Marshawn got a movie coming out.
Marshawn's side piece, though.
But wait. If you are Marshawn's
wait a second.
You know he got a movie coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want to know if you've seen the trailer yet.
Wait. Who's side piece? I'm sorry.
Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch.
Wait, so my man got a side piece? My man got another side piece?
You can have Monday morning. Oh, you got it.
What?
No black on black crime.
I show up on February 15th
Man, listen.
and January 2nd. Side piece days.
Okay. Look,
I ain't trying to take
I can I have him on the weekend? Like, which one am I? Which one am I? Am I like the song? Do I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Y'all probably go on dates.
Oh, she go to
premieres in the morning. Yeah, you'll get on holidays, and then when you go to sleep, you'll call me.
Y'all discuss this later. Qiana, you're up.
Sir. Yeah.
My bad. Sorry. I'm gonna mute again. Sorry.
Your turn, Qiana. Your story that you have for this week.
Yeah. So I would love to talk about the whole when is enough in regards to paying athletes. So we have seen these really big contracts for Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. I love it. And then this morning, James, are you okay?
Why you got to bring my quarterback into this? What he do to you?
No. This is not negative at all, but I want everybody's perspective on it. Okay. But I was listening to the story this morning about Lionel Messi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's no information exactly on the whole contract, but just him coming to America, being on a team in Miami, he's going to get revenue from Apple and their MLS soccer pass. He's also going to get money from Adidas. I mean, it's just an amazing thing. But I keep hearing this is just too much. I don't understand. I just want to know how everybody feels about it. I don't see the problem with it. And particularly with this is genius. This is smart. I'm all for it. You could be injured and out the next day. I need to have some coins in my account before you lay me out, according to what kind of injury that you have. I think it's genius. I think it's smart. Also, he probably get his citizenship, keep playing, retire in the U.S., and then he'll go get a team. And the team is co-owned by David Beckham. What the
I rock with Beckham. I'm with you. I don't see a problem with it. First of all, if you got to account for cost of living and inflation with these prices. I mean, I'm seeing CEOs who don't do nothing but harass their secretaries, getting multi-billion-dollar bonuses for doing absolutely nothing. And these guys are giving up their whole body for your entertainment so you can escape your sad life on a Tuesday or Monday night. And so they deserve everything they get. And it's not about, they're giving too much. He just had a hell of a negotiator. You should get you one.
He's an icon. He's bringing viewership. The United States is going crazy right now about this. We have MLS soccer.
I know his name.
But not anything like this. Like the account for MLS or whatever on Instagram views, all the users or whatever, they just went up by like, I don't know, triple double. This man is the brand. He should get every damn dime. He's earning all of it.
As long as these owners who are multi-billionaires continue to earn unlimited amounts of money, I hope these players squeeze as much damn money out of them as they can. Now, you can get into the argument in different sports. Well, if this player is making this much money, there's not enough money for the rest of the team. And I hear people with that. That's a very valid argument. However, ownership has no limit on how much money they're going to bring in. Right. So get your paper. I ain't mad at you.
And I'll say that argument about
to be a professional athlete, I'm gonna get everything I can get.
Exactly.
That argument about it's not enough money to go around is a lie, because there's always money. They cap what they wanted to spend on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You always got some more money you can dig out of them profits you made last year and decide to get a better team. Every sport nowadays is Moneyball. So miss me with that whole we don't have enough for the other. That's trying to guilt one broke person into giving half their bread to another broke person while you hold on to all the cake. So I'm not with that.
The salary cap is the biggest piece of bullshit in all the sports.
Absolutely.
In the 80s, for the majority of the 80s and through the early 90s, before the NFL adopted a hard salary cap, if you will, the San Francisco 49ers were out there in free agency every year, signing literally the best players to compete for and win Super Bowls. Year in and year out. Aging veterans who still had just a little bit left in the tank, they were signed into their defense, offensive line to complement Craig, Rice, and Montana. And were literally had a stranglehold on the NFC West for a dozen years. Like, I don't think there was a year between like 82 and 93 where they did not win their division. And we haven't seen anything since until the Patriots recently, but
yeah, those were some shitty years. We were in that division.
The mid 90s is pretty much where they put the hard cap, because basically the owners who didn't want to spend money, and you have this in every single sport, for a lot of these owners, owning a sports franchise is literally a hobby.
And you know what? If they were in corporate America, that would violate antitrust laws.
And their thing is this team over here is just something I do on the side to run when I'm bored with my day-to-day minutia of bringing in my billions of dollars. So they don't really want to spend the money. Whereas you have owners who are like, I want to win a championship at all costs. I want to sign these players. You spin it forward right now to the NBA. They don't have necessarily a salary cap, but they have what's called a luxury tax, where if you spend over what the ceiling limit is, you have to pay a penalty and fees. The Golden State Warriors are paying twice that amount in both salary and luxury tax fees. Because they want to keep Clay, Steph, and Draymond together, making each of them the highest paid at their respective individual positions in the NBA. So
I don't know if it's still the case now. I don't know if it's still the case now, but if you go over and look at baseball, as the Yankees are spending on the luxury tax every single year.
But that's been the Yankees' philosophy for like 25 years now.
And up until the last couple of years, the Yankees were winning 1 out of every 5?
Yep.
Because they were like, whatever it costs, we're gonna win.
And now you have owners for the Mets, and I think the owner for the Padres are starting to spend money. Now, baseball is the biggest criminal of this. Because you had veteran players still in their prime not being signed because of what they command as far as an annual salary. And granted, baseball is probably next to basketball the highest paid sport in the country as far as the big 3-4 sports, whatever you want to call it.
I mean, and it's guaranteed money.
Right, and it's fully guaranteed money. Baseball players are averaging 15 to 20 million a year. Minimum. If you just get through your rookie deal and make a couple of all-star games, you are guaranteed, based on your position, to make 15 to 20 million a year, regardless. And there are some owners who just don't want to pay these players, which is why it's like, well, why can't these teams do well? Why do they always groom this talent and let them walk out the door? Well, because management and the ownership doesn't want to pay more than X amount for any player whatsoever. So the teams at the bottom, as far as spending in Major League Baseball, those are the teams literally not trying to compete.
Well,
they're not.
I don't know if it's that they're not. I think some of them can't. I just think some of them just don't have the money.
Look at
the Florida Marlins.
The Florida Marlins. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. The Florida Marlins blew up not one, but 2 World Series championship teams because they refused to pay anybody after they won both those titles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
there were a couple of seasons. There were a couple of seasons where the Yankees payroll just for their pitchers was more than the entire payroll for the Florida Marlins and some other small market teams.
Yes.
Just in pitching.
Yes. Because I guarantee you, if you go back and look at the last 10 to 15 years of baseball and find the teams that spent the least amount of money and then look at their records for that season, you'll see a very direct correlation that they have poor records. Now, anytime an individual player does balloon up and become an all-star or become all-star caliber or the best at their position, whatever you want to call it, they leave because management doesn't want to pay them. It's one thing to get your rookie deal and it to be 4 or 5 years and $10 to $15 million where you're earning $3 to $5 million a year, whatever have you. But now you're all-star caliber. You want to be paid like an all-star. So that means now
as you should.
So now I deserve $10+ million at the minimum. But management doesn't want to give me that. I'm leaving. Somebody's going to pay me.
Right.
The same thing you see in corporate America. You got a superstar doing everything for your company and you don't want to pay them because the old owners want to hoard all the money and they leave and they go to another company. Yep. There's trades that happen on Wall Street, just like in the NBA finals.
And one of the things that I love about a lot of baseball, with baseball players specifically, or I won't say baseball players specifically, but what I have noticed with baseball players is the players seem to care more about money and having their families set for the next few generations versus winning championships. Whereas you look at some other sports and it feels like players in some other sports care more about championships. Baseball players are like, wait, I can get my entire family out of Cuba and somewhere else.
That part's real. That part, because there's a false narrative with that generational wealth, so-called bullshit in the NFL. That's what they're taught to say. But are you really doing it? Right. Do you have the tools that you need to do that?
Yep. And then I guess that's one of the other things is when I look at baseball, and I don't know what the numbers are now, but I remember a few years back, me and a friend, we were going to some games. He's a big Mets fan, and we got to talking about it. The number of non-American players that you see playing baseball now versus American players, and how that graph keeps keeps rising every season of baseball. You start seeing more and more non-American players because they're like, wait, I can do what? And all right, bet, let's go.
I'm out. I'm all for it.
And baseball's been trending that way. I mean, it is basically a sport born here in this country is now dominated by foreign-born players, which is, it's a double-edged sword. I'm not going to say it's good or bad, but it is a double-edged sword because, yes, the game is global. So you want more people around the world paying attention to your game, right? It's the reason why they fight so hard to get players from Japan like Hideki Matsui, like Ichiro Suzuki, when they were playing over here for the Yankees and Mariners, respectively. It's the reason why they keep trying to find ways to help Cuban-born players defect to the States and keep them secret long enough in their own farm systems, until that. And then they're known around the world. So It's the same thing that's happening with the NBA. More and more of the best. You look at who you would consider the top 10 players. Forget all time. Just look at the last 10 years of the NBA. And how many of what you would consider the top 10 players in the NBA 10 years ago were foreign-born players as opposed to now?
Yeah. I mean, who's the biggest name in the NBA Finals right now? Jokic. And I know he's Eastern European, but I don't know exactly where he's from.
Right.
He's from not the United States.
So the game is just getting bigger and bigger worldwide, and Americans are not dominating like they used to. Because I think back to the original Dream Team. Them dudes were out there jogging and destroying.
Oh no, they weren't jogging. They weren't jogging. Them fellas had the serious intent to destroy every international team they came across with zero mercy. Like literally, they believed in the Cobra Kai credo: strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
Sweep the legs, finish them.
Yes, sweep the leg, finish them, all that.
But now I look at a lot of players now who won't. How can I say it? You're starting to see more and more name recognition of non-American players, especially when World Games and the Olympics come up, and you see these teams. You're like, wait a minute, don't he play? And him,
because when you look at countries like Spain or Brazil or Venezuela, their entire starting lineups now for their Olympic teams all play in the NBA.
Yeah, they
may not all be starters, but all five of those dudes who start for those countries play in the NBA. Australia's the same way; they all play in the NBA. You know, Qiana, I will say this though. I feel like where that argument doesn't hold as far as the players who deserve it getting paid is with the NFL. I feel like every other sport, when players warrant those new deals, they get them because there are incentives into them getting paid. And those are the seasonal awards, whether they make first team or they're MVP or best offensive player, best defensive player. Like those things kick up and warrant them getting those big paydays. And again, I'm always going to be for players getting paid, because when you start looking at labor negotiations across all leagues, and okay, this league may threaten having a lockout because the owners don't want to pay the players, or they want to enforce some new rule that the players don't. I'm always on the side of the players, because the owners have no reason not to pay these players. You're generating all this revenue and money, billions upon billions of dollars, but you're only paying these players millions of dollars. So you're not hurting for money. Where I find that fall short with the NFL is that too many players, especially at quarterback, get paid off hype and miscellaneous stats that don't translate into winning anything. And get paid off the threat of, well, this dude's going to walk and we don't have a plan to replace him. And that seemed more so with quarterbacks. Where a quarterback gets paid. So, and let's just use this year in and of itself.
That's what I was going to ask you. What
so Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson got paid, right? $50+ million on average. Now, granted, the way NFL contracts works, they're not going to get $50 million a year.
Right.
It's the way it's a staggering increase year, per year, whatever. And unfortunately, probably the last year or two of those deals, they're not going to see that money per se because it's not guaranteed, or there'll be some restructure or something that happens. They deserve that money. Lamar Jackson more than proved himself as a capable quarterback and a leader with the Baltimore Ravens. There was no reason to drag this on to this point. There really was no reason. How they tried to lowball him and say, well, you shouldn't get this much money, and that the only real argument they had for not paying him was his health, which I understand, because the last 2 seasons he missed 6 games each at the end of the year and didn't even play in either one of their last 2 playoff games that they lost because he wasn't there. So I get where they're coming from as far as the health standpoint, but outside of health, there was no reason not to pay him last year. You didn't have to wait till this year. He deserved that money. You have was he rookie? I think he was rookie of the year.
Yeah.
when he started because he wasn't rookie of the year because his rookie season he took over in the middle of the season for Joe Flacco, who was hurt. And he ended up winning all but 2 of their last games of the season to actually get them into the playoffs. The next year, his first full year as a starter, he is league MVP. That's never happened before. You don't play quarterback your first full year and win league MVP. That is unheard of. And they've been in the playoffs every single year he's been quarterbacking that squad. That alone warrants him getting paid.
Whatever he asks.
Right.
Exactly.
Jalen Hurts' journey, I get it, was rocky. His rookie season was crap because I don't know what the coach at the time was trying to do. His first full year as a starter, he's 9-8, and they actually do the right thing by putting weapons around him by acquiring A.J. Brown, and the Eagles go to the Super Bowl. So, yeah, he warrants getting paid. I have issues where you have players like Matthew Stafford, for instance. Before he became a member of the Rams, and yes, if you're a Rams fan or a Lions fan, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to spit facts here. Quarterbacks like Matthew Stafford, who literally do nothing for their entire career, and for the entirety that Matthew Stafford was in Detroit, they did absolutely jack shit. They flirted with wild card berths. They only went to the playoffs twice under him, lost both times. And all he did was pad his stats by having 5,000-yard seasons with a losing record because a lot of those games they're getting blown out in. So in the fourth quarter, which is garbage time, and they're down 3 touchdowns, he's throwing the ball all over the yard because defense is playing prevent, so he gets 500 passing yards a game. And now you're looking at his stats at the end of the year. Well, if he goes, who are you going to get to replace him? Literally anybody else who doesn't be in a situation to where he has to throw for 500 yards because you're losing by 20 when the fourth quarter starts.
He's the get-by QB.
That part. But because he pads his stats and he has 5,000-yard passing seasons, and everyone's like, oh, well, look at his numbers. He has this many yards. He has this many touchdowns. Well, how much of that was when the game was out of hand and they had 0 chance of winning? That's never taken into account with these quarterbacks. So you have quarterbacks who pad their stats, have losing records, and then it's like, well, somebody's got to win this quarterback because he did these things. He doesn't win. It's the same thing I felt about Kirk Cousins, the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, who got not 1, but 2 fully guaranteed contracts from the Vikings. Never have I seen a case of blatant robbery. Ain't do nothing with the Minnesota Vikings. What they have? The 3rd best record in the league this year, and got beat by a team that, granted, the New York Giants were scrappy this year, but everyone expected Minnesota to beat them. They won literally all but one of their games by 1 or 2 points. And I get it. Whether you win by 1 or win by 100, it's still winning.
Win is a win.
A win is a win. But how you win speaks volumes as far as no more so in football than almost any other sport, especially when it comes to the playoffs. Because you can win ugly in the regular season, but you can't win ugly in the playoffs consistently and think that you're going to win a championship. It is not going to happen.
They don't care. They get a new stadium.
Really? A bird's going to keep flying into this one?
I mean, maybe.
Because Kirk, and trust me, the old podcast I used to do, I would always rail against Kirk Cousins and his ineptitude. I calm myself. Kirk Cousins is trash. Any organization that is looking at him as, well, he's a veteran quarterback and he can hold our team. No, he can't. He didn't do crap in Washington when they drafted him the same year to undermine RG3, then replace RG3 with him, and they still didn't win. Fluked into the playoffs where he basically pissed the game away. When I say they would have been better off if he had basically taken a snap and thrown it to the ground on every single play than letting him throw the ball in that playoff game that they lost. That's how embarrassingly ugly that was. And yet Minnesota thought that it would be a good idea to give him a fully guaranteed $87 million 3-year contract.
They get by.
And that's
he's getting by all the way on.
And he's basically skating by Minnesota right now. And
exactly.
For any other position in football, there's always some metric to say, yeah, you deserve this, except quarterback. Because with quarterback, all you have to do is pad your stats. It doesn't matter what your record is. You're going to say, well, I deserve to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. And a team will do that for no real reason whatsoever. In every other sport, you get paid for your performance adequately.
Hey, James, I gotta give you, I have to give you some pushback because
that's fine.
Competent, quality quarterbacks in the league are not a dime a dozen.
That is true.
So in some regard, there is, like, again, I look at the Falcons. That year we signed Matt Ryan to that amazing deal. And again, I was one of the people that I was like, he does not deserve that money. But again, we looked around at the rest of the league and free agency was like,
there's nothing there.
Nothing to say.
Ain't nothing there.
Now, in that case, I do understand. If there's literally nothing else there in free agency and you don't want to do a rebuild through the draft, I get that. But there's also something to be said for mediocre quarterback play that does virtually nothing but play at a 500 level when you flirt with the wild card and this guy who basically, if you're ranking the quarterbacks in the NFL, a guy who you basically put at 15 or 16 as far as the best quarterback in the league, but pay-wise, you make him a top 5 paid quarterback because you don't want to risk it.
I got to make this racist, right?
Go ahead.
So historically in the NFL, most of the quarterbacks have been white for up until, we'll call it the last 5-10 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the system was in place. Pad your stats, doesn't matter what your numbers are. You got the mental prowess to do quarterback. You're so strategic and blah, 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 blah. And put a woman in there because we think strategically. But anyway, I have to wonder if now they don't hate the monster that they made. Because you're going to have to pay them because you always been paying them. But if before, it wasn't quite so bad because you was paying, people that look like you. And now these little uppity Negroes out here demanding money for padding their stats, and you can't be mad because all they're doing is what everybody else.
This is the system you created.
Right.
Like the men who hate the patriarchy.
Right.
You did this.
You hate the player, you hate the game. And so I commend the players. If it was me, I think about again, my bailiwick is corporate. I'm thinking about people that do just enough to get that check. And you know what? If I had a great year because the economy was booming and everybody bought stuff from me because they just wanted to, and I didn't really have to do nothing, I still want my bonus check. I don't care if it was my fault or not. And in a bad year, I don't know what you want. Let me go ahead and pad my stats. I would do the same thing. So I don't blame the players because again, no matter how bad they suck and how bad they are, they're still taking a helmet to the stomach at least once a game. True. I ain't doing that. So I commend them, but it is a system that they set up. Yeah.
And Joy, to go along with that, we're making it racist. If you look at the league historically, when you see a lot of these black quarterbacks that come into the league, they become wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
They become tight ends.
Yep.
Running
They
backs.
don't even get the opportunity to compete at a quarterback spot.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that immediately cuts their pay. Mm-hmm.
That's just blatant. So I'm with you. And to me, it's not that we gotta make it racist.
It's
been racist.
It's been racist.
Mm-hmm.
It's been racist. I mean, the fact that the majority of the quarterbacks, I think right now, if you were to list, the top 64 quarterbacks in the league, it's probably 50-50. It's probably 50-50 now because more and more black quarterbacks have black backups.
Williams, first black quarterback to go to the Super Bowl, was it Doug Williams?
Doug Williams was the first, yes.
I remember that. And that's been in my lifetime.
Right. And Doug still played in the era where black quarterbacks came out, even if they won the Heisman. Yeah, we're going to convert you to defensive back or running back.
Yes.
Hell, even Cordell Stewart, who basically had a fight in Pittsburgh to play quarterback, they basically used him as everything but until his fourth season in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. It's like Tuskegee Airmen out there cleaning boats and cooking when they were the best fighter pilots of all time. But anyway, I can make everything about race.
But yeah, but that's my only pushback as far as like players getting paid as quarterback in the NFL, because again, the mediocrity, you can be mediocre at that position and still get paid.
Yeah. That's the system.
And it makes no sense, because in an era in which you had the top quarterbacks were Brett Favre, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, somebody like, I don't know, like a Chad Pennington can warrant getting paid on that level, because I may not be them, but everything out here, you convince ownership, everything else out there is worse than me, and you can't let me walk. No matter how crappy I am.
Throw the fish back. Throw it back.
To which, if it's me, it's like, well, I'll take my chances with what else is worse out there. If I can't get those top 4 dudes, and you're the next, and you claiming to be the next dude, but you playing just as bad as everybody else behind you, let me take somebody from behind you and give them a shot, especially someone who hasn't been given the opportunity. Because I can let mediocrity walk and give somebody else a chance, especially if they show that they have talent and promise. And granted, the NFL, the window for winning in the NFL is such a weird and fickle thing, because sometimes it can seem like, oh, well, we have a 3-year window to try to win a title. And other times it seems like, oh, we got a whole decade to play with.
Depends on how deep your good bench is, you know?
True. Because teams can be up and down 1 minute, and quarterback, unfortunately, is the linchpin for everything in the NFL. If you got solid quarterback play, you have a chance. If you have great quarterback play, you're guaranteed at minimum the playoffs. So.
Thought they was mediocre. No, I'm kidding. A great quarterback. You said great.
I did say great.
I'm just messing with you.
Mediocre, you have a chance. You flirt with the chance of winning. But I don't want to flirt with the chance of winning. I want to be guaranteed winning.
You want to sure
to some extent.
Buy me a drink. But what else do we have to talk about?
Well, the only other 2 things I wanted to bring up was, unfortunately, I want to talk about Ja Morant, because
what was the other thing?
The other thing was the other thing is football related, and is really more of a whimsical talking point that has. We'll get to that, but let's get Ja Morant out the way.
Well, before we do that, let me just throw out. I wanted to at least bring up the LeBron flirting with retirement.
Oh gosh,
that he threw out there to overshadow getting swept by the Denver Nuggets. We can debate whether or not we want to talk about it, but I at least wanted to throw it out there.
Oh no, we can talk about it.
We're all on the same page.
But he ain't the GOAT. He ain't the GOAT, and unfortunately. I'm not gonna say unfortunately. Fortunately, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos of people who are LeBron worshipers finally admit, you can't be the GOAT and get swept in the conference finals. You got to win at least 1 game. And LeBron has not only been swept in the conference finals, he's been swept in the NBA finals, not once, but twice.
I saw something that said, until somebody get beat up on the subway for their LeBrons, I ain't trying to hear.
That part. First of all, LeBron's kids wear Jordans.
Emotional damage.
Right.
My God.
Bronny and his brothers wear Jordans. So, yeah.
Just let that sink in.
Yeah. And even amongst his contemporaries, Kevin Durant ain't never been swept in anything. Chris Paul ain't never been swept. Dwayne Wade ain't never been swept.
Has Shaq ever been swept?
Shaq ain't never. Yes, Shaq was swept.
Okay.
Shaq. My sports knowledge. The Houston Rockets' second championship against the Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
The second time the Rockets won. And this is why I remember they swept the Magic. And Shaq will admit to this. The first game was the only game they really had a legitimate chance to win. And Nick Anderson missed 4 straight free throws to basically either tie and or take the lead. And the Magic just collapsed at that point. And the rest of the 3 games, mentally, that team checked out. And to this day, that Houston squad is still the lowest seeded team to win an NBA championship. They were the 6th seed in the West.
Oh, wow.
Right. And they swept the Orlando Magic, who were the 1 seed in the East.
If it's one thing that the Houston Rockets are good for, it is playing to the level of their competition. Because the crazy thing is they'll be like that 6th seed and come back and win the whole NBA finals. And then they'll be 2nd seed and play somebody that just put their team together last week and get whooped because that's their inconsistency that I grew up with.
Yeah.
See, I do watch sports sometimes.
So Ja Morant, after our last show last month, the very next day, video surfaces on IG, Ja Morant holding yet again another gun on Instagram. The commissioner has come out and said that he will be suspended, but they will not make a determination as far as how long he will be suspended until after the NBA finals have concluded, because they didn't want suspension talk to overshadow the 2 teams currently playing.
Right.
Which, on the one hand, I understand, but on the other hand, everybody's still talking about, so how long do you think you're going to get suspended for?
Well, the thing that cracked me up about that video is as soon as Ja's boy saw that he had the gun, he hurried up and put that camera down and was like, nah, dude, we can't. It was like, oh, shit, no. His boy has more sense than he does.
Yes.
Much.
Because his boy is like, you can't be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Twice.
Yeah. Once in the club and once just out and about. And I don't know where they were out and about at, but and my thing is, it's cool that, you like, I guess, flashing your gun, but don't have video evidence of it out there. It's one thing if it's hearsay and bystanders say they saw whatever, you got to prove that in a court of law. But it's on video.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
Which ain't going nowhere. The internet is forever.
Forever, ever.
Forever, ever? I don't get it. I don't get the need to impress broke people and jeopardize the money you making behind impressing some dude that you went to middle school with. Impress them with the fact that you're gonna drive past him in a limited edition Lamborghini. Do that and drive on. Don't be at the club. I don't know, and it's not. I don't understand.
I don't think Ja cares as much about basketball as we care about Ja Morant playing basketball.
No.
Just to be quite honest, I don't think he cares as much about basketball as we think he does.
And
okay.
Look,
then take the money you got and go sit down somewhere. Open a kid's school or something.
Yes.
And move it
Because
along.
look, Ja Morant is pretty much the dude from 8 Mile. His real name's Clarence. Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. Because that's basic. No, I'm not kidding. Ja Morant had a very good upbringing. He didn't.
No, I believe you because you start. I was like, well, where's the single mom, the ghetto narrative? I'm like, y'all can't.
He doesn't have
this time. And not that
here's the kicker.
Use anything either.
The house his parents live in is next door to the house he lives in. Yes, right.
So he's like,
Mom and Dad are his neighbors. Mm-hmm. His neighbors. Him and his boys live in a house. Mom and Dad live next door.
More so than that, Mom and Dad are his friends, which I think is a big problem.
Oh,
because
that's a huge problem.
What was the incident that happened at the mall where his mom called him to bring his boys down there to beat somebody up at a shoe store? I think is what it was.
Yes, his mom basically went to a shoe store.
That explains everything. That one phrase explains everything that's wrong.
Basically showed her ass because she pulled out whole, do you know who I am? Wanting special privilege and whatnot because she's his mom, and was mouthing off to the staff there.
That's why he had a gun in the club.
And she didn't like the way the staff was treating her, so she called Ja. So him and his boys come down there and they threatened the worker that she was yelling at with bodily harm. We'll see you when you get off work.
That is a crime.
I'd have been down at that shoe store and I'd have got my mama and we'd have left and I'd be like, look, you cannot be doing this.
You got more sense
than mess up my money.
which is why there's a clear video of one of LeBron's first seasons in Cleveland telling his mom to shut up and sit down. And you ain't heard nothing or seen his mom since.
Sometimes mama don't know best.
You're right.
Please. I didn't know about that at the mall. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, that was last year.
And then think about the game when he was trying to fight Shannon Sharp.
You know what you're not gonna do? I was just talking about we've been moving furniture. You ain't gonna fight Shannon Sharp.
I didn't know the what happened there. I just liked his outfit. I said, "Oh, he's looking sharp."
I don't know how much you guys know about Shannon Sharp.
I know quite a bit.
Shannon Sharp, I know you do. Shannon Sharp is quite proud of his upbringing, and he makes it a point to let you know he didn't have indoor plumbing until he got to college.
Wow.
That's how poor he grew up back in the 70s and 80s in South Georgia.
So if you think he ain't run a chicken's neck or had to wrestle with a dog, please understand, Shannon Sharp is not one with which to be fucked.
Bomani Jones, I don't know if you guys know Bomani Jones or not, but he's got a podcast and he's got a show on HBO. And I think it was on the podcast, he made a statement about he's fairly certain that Shannon Sharp grew up as one of those people who sometimes we just got to fight to pass time.
That's how you survive.
Not because we mad at each other. Yeah. We ain't got nothing else to do.
That's
like Ice Cube said, slap boxing in the street. Like you ain't got nothing else to do.
I'm like, that's not somebody you want to move furniture with.
No. Shannon Sharp's pronouns are fuck around and find out.
Yes. That part. Yeah. And the fact that the rest of the Memphis Grizzlies at that Lakers game between the former Grizzly Dylan Brooks and Jaren Jackson and all them other knuckleheads decided, sit down, Shannon. You can't. Nah. The whole thing about old man strength. Yeah.
Nothing about Shannon screams frail. Like he gives off I will fuck you up vibes. Why would you?
I follow Shannon Sharp on Instagram. I've always been a big fan.
You seen his workouts?
Yes. That's what I've
seen some of. Let me just follow him. Some of the workouts.
It's always funny because when he posts those workout videos and then you see him kind of in his Club Shay Shay podcast and just when he's talking to people, he seems like he's one of the sweetest, most genuine people. But you see him in them workouts and it's like, no, I ain't fooling with nope.
He is, from a body and age standpoint, he is the male Angela Bassett. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because like Angela fine as hell to be in her late 50s, early 60s. Yeah. And so is Shannon. Yeah. Shannon keeping it tight. Appreciate you, Shannon.
Yeah, the workouts. I'm like, no, you don't want to move furniture with this dude.
No, you need to get out because he's old and he will fight dirty too. He ain't trying to spar with you and do something for show. He coming in low, tap you to the ground, and beat the hell out of you.
Well, I think that's one of Gen Z's biggest mistakes is like youth doesn't guarantee you anything.
No,
you have to count your days, bitch, because your knee give out. That's it.
It's like somebody was interviewing Michael Jai White a number of years ago, and they asked him who would win a fight, young Michael Jai White or current Michael Jai White. He said, if it goes the distance, young Michael Jai will win because he's younger and is in much better shape. Current Michael Jai White is smart enough to put him down fast and quick. And that's what I think about Shannon. If you get in a fight with Shannon Sharp, he's going to put you down fast and quick, and you just
drag it out.
He's not going to posture. The minute he decides he's going to beat you, he's going to beat you up.
Yeah.
And real G's move in silence. You know what you'll see? One of them like, all right, and boom, he's at you. You didn't even know it was coming.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the problems is John's parents are his friends. They're not. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say they're not parents, but everything I see about them to me says they're more his friends than his parents.
And that's us.
Well, they're enablers.
Whatever it is, it ain't good from that incident at the mall.
That's just crazy.
Let me call my kid. Yeah.
I mean, that's why they talk about the crabs in a bucket mentality, everything. It's not about seeing somebody and thinking, I want to ruin them. It's seeing somebody and not recognizing that them trying to carry you with them is pulling them back down. Yeah. That's exactly what has happened here. As he was trying to climb up out, First of all, he didn't have a sense to think about, is this good for my publicity, my career, anything other than my mom said, "Route, oh God, I'm a route," whatever that might have been, and then she didn't have the forethought to think, if I do this, how's this going to affect my son's career? They just was grandstanding. And when you don't have anything, when you don't have anything, your reputation is all you got left, and people will fight to the death over that in certain situations.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate though that all that happened to continually tar his image, reputation, whatever. But I mean, honestly, this is gonna come out of left field, but Whitney Houston, same problem. You want to be bigger and better, but your past will not let you.
Yeah. And the other thing I'll say about Ja is, like we were talking earlier about all of the European faces in the league. If you look at the top 25 players in the NBA right now, under the age of 25, Ja is one of the few Americans on that list. And
not even 25, 10.
And one of the rumors has been is that the league is trying to push him as the face of the league because he's young, he's talented, and he's an American, and they don't want to have the face of the, and again, this is just the rumor that's been circulating, and they don't want the face of the NBA to be a non-American. So, and as I'm watching it, I was like, I could kind of see some meetings off the books where some people are having those conversations, but yet Ja just keeps getting in these scenarios where they can't push him as the face of the league.
Right. And unfortunately, the idiots out there keep clamoring about, well, it's a Second Amendment right to carry a gun.
Oh my God.
Okay, yes and no. Guess what? When you sign a contract with a professional team, you have to give up certain things.
Exactly.
Here's the thing, though,
to make that money.
You ain't even got to go that deep, because I'm from Texas, so I know gun laws, at least. And believe it or not, Texas does have some relatively reasonable gun. At least they did gun laws. They've changed stuff, but anyway, it is legal. The Second Amendment is not even what most people think it's about, but carrying a firearm is legal. Concealed carry is legal. Open carry is legal. Brandishing is not. The minute you put that gun in your hand, that's illegal.
Okay.
So
you can even do the whole, like Ice Cube and them, open the coat and show it and whatnot. You can have it on your hip. You can do all that. The minute you pick it up and unholster it, that is brandishing a weapon.
Yeah.
And they will take your weapon from you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with Ja's, like, the contract situation is every league has language in the contract, conduct detrimental to the league.
Yeah.
Right. So you could squander endorsement deals, which he's already squandered. You could squander your team deal, which is pretty much he's already squandered because he missed so many games during the regular season. He didn't qualify for any of the 3 All-NBA teams. So there goes bonus money when his next contract comes up. And ultimately you can get suspended. If not, lose your career outright. I don't know if any of you all know Jay Williams, who now works for ESPN. Used to be a point guard at Duke University.
Yep.
Jay Williams was known at Duke to love to ride motorcycles. When the Chicago Bulls drafted him out of Duke, they knew he loved to ride motorcycles. And they put in his contract, you are not allowed to ride motorcycles during your playing career. When you retire, knock yourself out. But while you were under contract with the Chicago Bulls, you were not allowed to ride a motorcycle. He was then caught on an ESPN reality game show that used to come on way back when. I forgot what the title was called, but basically it was 2 teams of 4, and they had to complete a number of sports-related tasks in a different state. And the first team to complete any 10 of these 25 tasks would win, right? But you had to beg, but you couldn't use any money.
You got caught doing what, man?
Riding the bike, basically, because one of the contestants knew Jay because they went to Duke together, and they needed a place to stay, and they knew Jay knew some people on campus to help him out.
Snitches get snitches.
No, they didn't snitch. Jay rolled up to meet the team, the guy on the team he knew, on his motorcycle. And he is on camera saying, and I quote, "Yeah, you like this bike? I know. I'm really not supposed to have it, but what they're going to do is just money." 3 months after that show aired, during the offseason in the NBA, he was in an accident in which he almost lost his leg.
I remember that. Yep, I remember
so
that.
He never played in the NBA again, and the Bulls terminated what was left of his rookie contract. Notice I said rookie contract because he never made it out of his rookie deal. Right. It's the same thing in the NFL. There are a number of quarterbacks in the NFL through the years who love to ride motorcycles. Jay Cutler, Jake Plummer.
Roethlisberger is the one that pops to mind.
Roethlisberger is probably the most recent.
I can understand why they have the contract thing against riding motorcycles, because I rode a motorcycle for about 2 years.
You will get hurt.
Yeah,
I got hurt, and I know. So I got hurt. I was doing tricks with I was doing motorcycle tricks with a couple of guys, and so they showed me how to like touch my foot on the ground while I'm still doing like 80 miles an hour. I think I got up to like 109 at one point, somewhere in Tennessee. I'm not gonna tell you where because I don't want to go to jail. But when we're coming home, we are done doing risky things in a protected zone, but some risky things. And I'm doing like 30, maybe 35 miles an hour, and I'm slowing down to turn left onto my street. And my front tire of my motorcycle, because I had a Suzuki Bandit, which is crotch rocket and Kawasaki Ninja type stuff. Hit a patch of oil, and I started to wobble, and I gripped the brakes too hard, and I what they call high-sided. Flew over the top of the motorcycle, right? Rolled. Luckily, since the left turn light was green, there was no traffic coming, and the people looking at me when I rolled into the street were like, "Are you okay?" I was fine. Every other motorcycle person that I knew, when I told them what happened to me and that I had bruised 3 ribs and I had to keep them bound, they were like, "That's not even a real injury." When I tell you my ribs hurt for 4 months, every time I laughed, coughed, or took a breath, and if that's not hurt, I've seen the videos of people falling and their leg popping off. You know, that is insane.
Yeah.
People
Not cute.
neck. Roll rage look like you got burns over 2/3 of your body, all of that. So yeah, you do not want to mess with a motorcycle. It is a dangerous situation. There's no airbags, there's no seatbelt. God forbid if you have seatbelt, burn up with it.
Nothing protective on a motorcycle whatsoever, except for the
and so from an asset management standpoint, I can understand since we do talk about how they own these kids. I can understand them saying you cannot ride a motorcycle because the risk is ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. You have to separate what you want from what you're going to need long term. And just so many of them just cannot seem, it doesn't click. It doesn't compute. I don't want nobody telling me what to do.
Right.
Okay.
But do you want this money?
Right. Because if you want to ride your motorcycle that bad, try to get traded to a team that'll let you ride it. But don't just break it.
No team is going to let you ride a motorcycle.
Right. And so if that's the case, then do you want to live this dream or do you want to ride this motorcycle into a ditch?
And it's the same thing with John and his conduct with these guns. Do you want this money or do you want to be, and I'll say this and drop it, but the mentality that there are more and more players across all the sports, especially from the Black community, who are coming up middle class, but yet get to these leagues and want to live the thug lifestyle that basically our generation actually did kind of grow up with, but have tried to distance ourselves from.
Most of us grew up more like Fresh Prince than NWA anyway. We were fronting too. And then we've perpetuated that in our society.
So
that's on us. Looking at you, Gen X.
But I'm gonna leave it there because the last story is not that big a deal, not worth covering.
Okay. Well,
but that is our time for the evening, unless anybody has one last thing they want to say.
Real quick,
Qiana?
The Q's shout out. So I want to give that out to Danny Garcia and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. They've done an excellent job with their first year in the XFL. So as of May 22nd, 67 players have been invited to NFL team workouts.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah.
22 have signed NFL contracts. Also, you guys neck of the woods, this on Saturday, June the 17th, they're having a HBCU showcase.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually the second one that the XFL has hosted. So this is just for HBCU players. Mm-hmm. And they said that 100 players from HBCUs played in this past XFL season. So you can say whatever they want. You may not like how the game is played, but the long-term effects of it are just amazing. So I give a huge shout out to them.
I'm excited about that. You know what? They should go get Kaepernick.
Why not?
Mm-hmm. He ain't doing shit.
I bet he can still play too.
He can.
He probably
even if he's not playing at his level best, he still probably could rock with them, just from his experience.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to play at this point anymore.
Do something.
Mm-hmm.
I think his activism has pretty much overrode his desire to play at this point.
That's fine.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and he has a kid now, so
could have been me.
There's that.
Right. You, girl, you know when we was in San Francisco, I was looking for. Oh, I'm sorry. The end. I'm done.
For everybody here, this is going to wrap it up for this evening. We will see you all next month. Good night.
All right.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then. When they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands. Without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand,
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe. As a part of their ongoing war with Asia, used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. The work of all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe. As a part of their ongoing war with Asia, used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. The work of all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.